United credit cards, that's something to keep in mind. You've got the starter of the United Gateway with 30,000 miles with as an intro bonus with $1,000 worth of spend in the first 3 months, and that's a no annual fee card. You've got the United Explorer at 60,000 miles with an intro bonus for $3,000 worth of spend in the first 3 months. That one does have a $95, I believe, annual fee, but it is waived for the first year. Then you have the United Quest card with 70,000 miles, 500 premier qualifying points, which they call PQPs, for $4,000 worth of spend in the first 3 months. Then you have the United Infinite with the 90,000 miles with $5,000 worth of spend in the first 3 months. Once again, all of those end on August the 7th. And then you have the Ink Business Preferred with 120,000 Chase points for $8,000 worth of spend in the first 3 months. So a lot of opportunities under Chase. Then Citi, we have the Citi Strata Premier still at 75,000 points for $4,000 worth of spend in the first 3 months. And then Wells Fargo, the Choice Privileges MasterCard and the Select MasterCard with 60,000 points for $1,000 worth of spend in the first 3 months for the Choice Privileges MasterCard, and 90,000 choice points for $3,000 worth of spend in the first 3 months. A lot of different hotels under there, but pretty much a road warrior type of hotel credit card if you are a person that utilizes Choice. And then let's take a look at the new August transfer bonuses that we have. So for American Express, we've got Aer Lingus, British Airways, and Iberia at 30%, and that runs through September 30th of 2024. We also have Hawaiian Airlines at 20% through August 31st of 2024. Now, the one thing I would definitely mention as far as the Avios related to Aer Lingus, British Airways, and Iberia, you do also have Qatar, which is an Avios partner. So even if you wanted to get points over to Qatar, you could take points that are in British Airways, because not every transfer partner has Qatar, and be able to transfer your British Airway Avios to Qatar Avios. And the same thing applies for Iberia and Aer Lingus. And there are some opportunities there these days to get somewhat better redemptions when it comes to American Airlines than what we've seen in the past because of some of the devaluations that have happened a couple of times in the last year or so. So don't think that there's not an opportunity for Qatar with that 30% bonus if it works for you. The Hawaiian Airlines, that's it's not a great redemption transfer, but if you are already planning for it, it's a nice sweetener to what you might be looking at. As far as Chase, we've got the Marriott Bonvoy at 70%, runs through August the 14th of 2024. It does take up to 2 days for that transfer, so build that in if you're going to need it. It's obviously, while 70% sounds real good, it still obviously is not a great redemption in and itself. Chase points can be valued from 1.8 to 2 cents per point, while Marriott Bonvoy you might see valued at 0.7, maybe 0.8 cents per point. And so even with the 70%, it doesn't take the place of a Chase point. But if you need to top off, it's a nice touch that could be there for you. And then for Capital One, we've got Qantas at 20% transfer bonus running through September 1st of 2024. And same situation, not an enormous redemption for Qantas. Now, I just spent this for my upcoming trip to Australia. I was able to get first class flight on the A380 for the 162,000 Qantas miles per seat. And so that is something that I'm really looking forward to. Would have liked to see this 20%. It would have helped out a lot. So definitely none of these are groundbreaking in and itself, but if you are on the way to making a plan to travel upcoming, then it's a nice, once again, something nice to top off. And then before we get to topic 3, wanted to thank, Filmo for stopping through, really appreciate it. Was just thinking bored, hope someone goes live tonight. Hopefully, I can, help out some of that boredom. I'll do the best I can, Filmo. Thanks for stopping through. And so then we obviously have the August points, miles, and purchase opportunities that are available for August. And there's a number of them. So we have the Avianca Life Miles with the deadline of August the 15th, where you can get up to 160% redemption on your points. If you're purchasing 1,000 miles, it's 120%. 2,000 to 20,000 miles is 140%. 21,000 to 40,000 miles is 150%, and then 41,000 to 200,000 miles is 160%, which would get you at a value of about 1.27 cents per point. There's obviously a lot of transfer partners related to Avianca, including Amex, Bilt, Capital One, Citi, and Wells Fargo. 160% sounds like a really good number, but as I've talked about in last week's live stream, they've had numbers already this year in the 150 to 160% range. So it's while it sounds really big, it's not something that you need to speculate on for as it relates to Avianca. They do have these type of sales a lot. But once again, if you're planning something now, it's a nice touch. Then we got the Iberia Avios deadline of August the 5th of this year, obviously. And so this one doesn't have the tiers. It's just anywhere from 2,000 to 200,000 Avios, 25% off, with the maximum purchase of Avios that you can do in a year is the 200,000. So if you were maxing out those points at 200,000 points, you would basically result in 250,000 points at $4,599. Now that represents a 1.84 cents per point, which is higher than Avios are normally valued, which is at 1.25 cents. Now, as I always tell you all, these cents per points are really just kind of a foundational piece of information to have. Each person needs to make their own decision of what's best for them. And especially if you're topping off or you're getting a very good redemption, then the cents per point doesn't necessarily matter if you know how you're going to use it. And that is a perfect example of the miles that I'm spending to go to Australia is everything was heightened as far as the amount of cents per point value I'm getting because it's during the holidays and was able to find award space. So was lucky in regards to that. So you have to make your own best decision for your particular situation. Then we have JetBlue True Blue with the deadline of September 13th of 2024. And anything that you purchase from 3,000 points and up, you'll get 125% bonus, which will bring you to 1.43 cents per point. Maximum purchase is 150,000 in a transaction and with a calendar year max of 200,000 miles that you can purchase. Now, JetBlue is a fixed value awards program, which means it is completely tied to the cash price. So it's not always going to be the best type of deal, and you'll have to find what's best for you on it. Now, you do have Chase and you have Citi and Amex that are transfer partners, but be aware that on Chase and Citi, you've got 1-to-1, but on Amex, it's 1 to 0.8. So be careful if you're going to use your flexible points to do this and how not to do it, but be aware of if you're trying to do transfers on your own of things you might be looking at. And then we have the Wyndham rewards through August the 9th, where you purchase 3,000 points or more, you'll receive a 35% bonus. And the deal valuation would be about 0.96 cents per point. There's only a couple of transfer partners for Wyndham, and that's Capital One and Citi. And the one that I'll always talk about as far as a redemption is both Vacasa. You get a lot of mileage out of their per bedroom cost. And then they're all inclusives that they have both here in the United States and abroad has some pretty good numbers for families. And it'll be something I'll talk about in the video that I put out this week. And then lastly, we have Virgin Atlantic with a deadline of August the 4th of 2024. And we have tiers again, where from 5,000 to 24,000 miles, it's a 20% bonus. 25,000 to 69,000 is a 30% bonus. 70,000 to 124,000 is a 50% bonus. And then 125,000 to 200,000 is a 60% bonus. Once again, it's not a ground-breaking number. If it works and can help you out, then it's worth doing. A lot of transfer partners that you can look at if you needed to get Virgin points, if you needed to. Amex, Bilt, Capital One, Chase, and Citi. So that's what we're looking at for purchase opportunities so far at this point. And want to see that Xavier Qantas I've seen as around like 12,000 for some flights around the U.S. It is. It's a very versatile point, and I was not as aware of it before. But there's a lot to be able to do with it, and even within Australia, there are very low miles to go bouncing around in the country. So thanks for pointing that out because that's good information. So topic 4 is the Wyndham Timeshare Promo, and I put a disclaimer on this immediately that there is a mandatory 120-minute timeshare presentation that's required for this. There's no way to get out of it. I'm a person that I had a timeshare for a hot minute. I think it was about 2 or 3 years that I had one in Las Vegas. Got caught in doing the timeshare presentation for some free shows back in the day, and did not work out for me. Was lucky to get out of it without losing money, but I put that as a disclaimer. I'm not a person that probably could endure it, but there's a lot of people better than I am that can. So, but this can be an opportunity if it works for you personally. So with this promo, you're going to get 4 days and 3 nights at a select Wyndham property for up to 4 people, 2 adults, 2 children. They've got a number of locations for this, including Las Vegas, Myrtle Beach, Orlando, Phoenix, Williamsburg, Oceanside, Branson, San Francisco, and even St. Thomas. They are 11 of those locations. It's only 7,500 Wyndham points. That's kind of the big deal with this promo. Normally, you have to pay cash, $253 to $500 or $600 or whatever it may be. But in this case, you can actually use points, which really can help you get a lot of mileage out of being able to have a family vacation if you're short on cash and got some points that you could be able to use and can handle that mandatory presentation. 7 of the locations are a bit higher, but it's still only 15,000 points. Now, the offer expires September 30th, and your stay must be completed by December 20th of 2024. Now, a few things to keep in mind, and I'll make sure to put a link in the notes. That 1, you must meet the minimum requirements, and so you have to be 28 years or older with full-time employment, or you're 60 plus and fully retired. If you're married or you're cohabitating, both of you need to attend the mandatory presentation. There are some states that this is not valid for, and this is from me reading it, is Hawaii, Montana, North Dakota, South Dakota, Utah, West Virginia, and Wisconsin. Now, be sure to read all of the offer details in the link that I'll put down there so that you are completely eyes wide open in regards to it. And once again, as I mentioned before, transfer partners include Capital One and Citi. So something to keep in mind. It's a very low price type of trip as long as you can handle it. But I wanted to make sure to share that with you because it could be points. The next item is the Chase travel and purchase protection changes, which will be happening, which seems to be, for the most part, a very good thing. So as of October 1st, Chase will be introducing a new branded website called chasecardbenefits.com. Now, the new website will be a one-stop for all Chase card members to access their benefits as well as to file new travel and purchase protection claims. This will coincide with Assurant actually becoming their new benefits administrator, and underwriter. Um, so as far as the changes, which are pretty good here. So travel accident insurance will double from 250,000 to 500,000. Rental car insurance will increase to $60,000 for cars if the manufacturer's sticker retail price is of $125,000 or less. Now, the notification period for this car insurance increases from 60 days to 100 days. The extended warranty protection on eligible credit cards changes from $10,000 per claim with $50,000 cap over the life of the card to $50,000 per year with the same $10,000 per claim still being applicable. There will also be changes on the emergency evacuation where now they will now go from you being responsible for handling the coordination of it to now it will be arranged by the insurance provider, which I think I'm surprised that it didn't even work that way before. Who is in a position to handle that kind of thing if you actually need an emergency evacuation? Also, travel and emergency assistance is being added to additional cards. I don't know of which ones they are yet. I've not been able to find specifically what ones those are, as well as lost luggage insurance is also being added to additional cards. Trip cancellation and interruption insurance will be updated to cover additional family members and covered reasons on the United Gateway specifically. So those are interesting changes for them. And I've not been able to see anything specific that I can point to that says, well, that's where they took something away. I'm not saying there isn't, but I've not been able to find it specifically. So, but keep an eye on that for your particular Chase credit cards that you may have. As far as the next topic, this was something that I was interested in seeing, and this was how do the Hilton credits work at small luxury hotels and AutoCamp? And I have to pass this credit goes to Greg at Frequent Miler, and I'll make sure to have a link for their article on this. What Greg did is he reached out directly to Hilton to ask a question about the credits that you have on the Hilton Aspire, which you have $200 twice annual towards Hilton resorts, $200 January through June, and $200 July through December, as well as the Hilton Surpass from $50 each quarter for properties in Hilton portfolio, as well as the Hilton Business Credit Card, $60 each quarter for properties in Hilton portfolio. So what they were able to advise him is that even though resort is referenced in some names under small luxury hotels and on the AutoCamp, it's not eligible to use for those. You won't get the credits on when it comes to the Hilton Aspire. Like I said, despite resort being used in some names. But if you have a Surpass or a business credit card, those credits that you get per quarter are eligible for you to get related to those stays. So even if you're using award points for those stays, the credits can be used for meals, drinks, spa treatments, pet fees, parking fees, etc. Anything charged to your room. So unless you're a person that travels a lot and stay at Hilton a lot, then this may be something that if you were going to take one of those trips, that you at least get to use some of those credits for. So I thought that was excellent information that Greg came up with and was able to share with people. So I wanted to make sure to share that with you all. And Phil Mo says, let's hope none of us need medical evacuation. I share the same thought. I hope so too. And Xavier, best thing I have found to do is just narrow the search down and the filters to resorts on the webpage. Exactly. And I think that's a very good point for all of us in regards to it. And I think because the SLH and the AutoCamp are so new, really most people didn't know about it. And so I was really glad that Greg was able to put that out. So I wanted to share that. And like I said, I'll have the link for the article. And then topic 7, a new Spirit Airlines. So I've had this live stream where we talked about a new Southwest. We heard about Southwest when they were doing the different test groups. And then now we obviously found out of how they are completely changing their model. And we're seeing the same with Spirit. And I think this is what we're seeing is these ultra low, especially Spirit as an ultra low airline carrier. The money that they're making is not what they need. They need to change some things. And I think similar to what we saw with Southwest, where over 80% of their current customers as well as their potential customers wanted to see the changes of assigned seating. I think there's some of those numbers probably are coming from Spirit as well, with their established customers as well as their potential customers. So let's take a look at what they've got. So as of May 17th of 2024, we found out that Spirit had previously announced that it was going to eliminate change fees and extend the expiration on vouchers, which was a nice step. Now they've announced that changes, like I mentioned, that really changes their business model. Now, these changes are bundled fares, which will be available for bookings as of August 16th and implemented on board August 27th. We also have priority check-in, which will also be implemented August 27th. And then there'll be some boarding experience to changes, to name a few. So let's touch on the fare bundles first. So obviously I've not flown Spirit, but I've heard enough about it, and maybe some of you all have had the opportunity, and I'll use that loosely, the opportunity to fly Spirit. It's always been known as an a la carte model, and so even when you get the big seat, you're still paying for everything as an a la carte special. So now we have got 4 different packages. We've got the Go package, which will include a personal item and the ability as a free ticket exchange. Then you have Go Savvy, which is a standard seat selection and a carry-on bag or a checked bag. Then you have Go Comfy, which will include a blocked middle seat, group 2 boarding, a carry-on, and a checked bag, as well as drink and a snack. And then lastly, Go Big is the big front seat, group 1 boarding, complimentary drinks, including alcohol, as well as premium snacks and Wi-Fi. So now we're getting into something where you just got $1 amount that can get you some things and not have all of us spend so much time looking at trying to create the a la carte special. And then as far as priority check-in, which as I mentioned will be available as of August 27th for Go Big passengers, Free Spirit Gold members, as well as holders of the Free Spirit World Elite MasterCard. It will be available in more than 20 airports to start with, and there's a list of those that is on their website. This provides front-of-the-line access to the first available counter agent. So once again, if you're looking at Spirit, it's a nice touch potentially. And then lastly, as far as the boarding process change, that'll be effective August the 27th, and there'll be 5 different groups for that. And that part, I don't have a whole lot of information that I was able to see as of yet. But something to kind of keep an eye on for that boarding process change as far as those 5 groups of how it'll be completely laid out. Now, as far as thoughts, the changes were needed for them to even be viable. It creates a better convenience for travelers. And this is the one thing we did not get with Southwest when they announced. We don't know dates. And we obviously know they got to project further ahead because you got to change everything as far as when you can make those reservations and when they're going to be implemented. So I'll be looking for that for Southwest, but that's what a new Spirit Airlines is looking like. And so wanted to say Spirit News is interesting. Thanks for stopping through, Matt. Really appreciate it. And also hello momentarily. And Sledge, thank you for taking your time to stop through. Really appreciate it. Always glad to have people stop through. It's really appreciated. I see Fashion Forward stopped in. I wonder how long that blocked middle seat will be in effect. Seems like they may not be able to sustain that long term. It's a good question. I've only read a little bit about that blocked middle seat. I thought that's been going on for. I thought it had already been going on, but I must admit I have to claim that I'd only been kind of reading about it a little bit. But I think that because of Spirit's financial situations and all, They really need to. I think that's something that they probably will be able to keep up for a bit. I'm sure that with this bundling, they are projecting to get some more dollars per person than they currently get with that a la carte fare. So, but will be something interesting to look at. So we'll keep our eye on it. And then we've got more changes with Chase on the DoorDash extension and more. So Chase had partnered with DoorDash back in 2020, and their partnership was going to be ending as of the end of this year on December 31st. Now that partnership has now been extended to 12/31/27. Now there's a lot of things that are moving parts as far as depending upon what cards you have. So if you have the JP Morgan Reserve, Chase Sapphire Reserve, or the Chase Sapphire Preferred, and you have an active free Dash Pass currently, it will continue to that benefit through 12/31/2027. If you are a new and existing Sapphire Reserve cardholder who has not yet activated the benefit, you can enroll to receive that Dash Pass through 12/31/27 for through 12/31/27 or 12 months, dependent upon when you enroll. I must admit, I don't have the specific timeline of when one time makes the difference of 12 months versus the 12/31/27. So if you have the reserve card, make sure to look at your information on your benefits page. I looked at mine and I don't, for the preferred, I don't have the reserve. And so it's got the dates changed in there, and I don't currently have any enrollments to DoorDash Pass on any of my Chase credit cards or my wife's. So something to make sure to take a look at. And then for the Chase Freedom and the Slate credit cards, if you've not activated the Dash Pass, you have until January 31st of 2025 to enroll for the current benefit of 3 months of free membership, followed by 9 months of discounted Dash Pass. Now, if you don't enroll until February 1st, it changes so that all new enrollees will receive 6 free months of Dash Pass total, not the 9 months of discounted Dash Pass, and they've increased the 3 months up to 6 months. So I think that's a good deal for most people there as well. And then we've got non-restaurant credits that have gone on. So if you have the JP Morgan Reserve and the Sapphire Reserve with an activated Dash Pass membership, you'll receive 2 promos of up to $10 off each calendar month at checkout. And this will apply to grocery as well as convenience or other non-restaurant orders for DoorDash. And cardholders will continue to receive the $5 monthly DoorDash in-app credit off of restaurant orders through January 31st of 2025. Now, beginning February 1st of 2025, cardholders will receive a new monthly benefit of $5 off on restaurant orders on DoorDash. So that one is not necessarily the most beneficial because the $5 that you get now, from what I've read, I don't have either of those cards, is you can use it for things other than just restaurant orders. Whereas now, once you get to February 1st, you must use it on just restaurant orders. And then if you have the Chase Sapphire Preferred with an activated Dash Pass, you get one of those promos of that $10 off of each calendar month at checkout for grocery, convenience, and other non-restaurant orders. And then to finish up, if you have the Chase Freedom or the Slate, you'll receive one promo of up to $10 off each quarter at checkout on the same grocery, convenience, or other non-resident restaurant order. Now, these promos in free delivery can really save you money. Now, like I said, I'm not a person that normally uses DoorDash, but I can definitely see the use of it. And with these other type of promos can kind of help to do more. So I'd be very interested in hearing from people that use the DoorDash Pass if you think that these things are going to make a difference in your savings of using it. Now, as far as credit cards of the co-branded version, the Aer Lingus, the British Airways, Disney, Hyatt, Iberia, IHG, Marriott, Southwest, and United cards, you'll be eligible for the 1-year Dash Pass on those cards. Now, as for people that don't know much about the DoorDash Pass, which I was pretty much one of them, they usually cost $9.99 per month. You receive lower service fees and you get free delivery on eligible restaurant orders over $12 or more and grocery orders over $25. So might be something. And once again, it didn't cost us anything to get some of these additional bonuses. And like I said, for me, it's been an afterthought, but I guess I will probably take a look at trying to use that on our preferred credit cards at this point. So something to be able to look at. Mr. Coho, thanks for stopping through. Flew them a ton, nothing wrong for short flights. That goes back to Spirit. So thanks for pointing that out. I know it always catches a bad name, and I don't want to necessarily be the one that kind of continues to say it when it may not be true. So thanks for sharing your thoughts on that. And for Sledge, if you get the big front seat, yes, that's what they're called. Spirit isn't bad, especially for short flights. Once again, that's a good thought. Spirit does fly from where I'm located, just have not necessarily looked at it. And so what are Spirit changes? So the Spirit changes are basically going from, if I hopefully I'm answering your question, so I apologize if I'm still scoring it up, is basically where Spirit was basically an a la carte program. You would buy the seat, you would buy the ability to take a checked bag, you would buy the ability to have a carry-on bag, you would buy the ability to have drinks or beyond. Now they are bundling them together, different parts of it to try to create a better convenience for the traveler rather than going through all that. But keep in mind, they're not just doing it for us as the flyer. I'm sure that they've made some calculation to determine that for each bundle, they're getting at least a few cents or a few dollars per person more than the person that would do the a la carte. Anything that's easier always costs us more, whether it's a convenient thing where it's a from the grocery store or otherwise. So, but that's hopefully that answered your question, Yuri. If I didn't, please let me know and I'll try to do better next time. And so then as far as this next topic, we now get to the Flying Blue promo rewards for August of 2024. And as you know, we have this each and every month, and we've definitely got to touch on it because there could be some spots to be able to look at for that. So let's take a look. As I mentioned, it's a regular promotion offering discounted flights redemptions to Europe. The bookings need to be made by August 31st, but the travel is valid through January 31st of 2025. And while the promo may say from a US city to a European or otherwise city, the rewards work both ways. So it's applicable in each direction for these. So what we have is I've got broken this down between long haul and the medium short haul that happens more in Europe. So for long haul, from North America departures, we've got 25% off of economy flights on Air France flying from Atlanta to Nairobi or Detroit to many places in Europe, as well as Toronto to Europe. And all of those are Air France at 25% off. Then for KLM, you've got a number of airports to go to from Boston to Europe and then Houston to Europe. And those are basically at 15,000 miles each way. So once again, if that fits, it's a very nice redemption to be able to do with your points for that. And then for the international departures, which start at 15,000 miles, you're looking at 25% off economy again. And so Air France from Cairo to Saint Denis, which is Roland Garros in France, to Europe, and then Cartagena or Caraco and Dubai, all of those three to Europe on KLM. So if you're from those areas, that's an option as well. As far as the short and medium haul, we've got 25% off economy from Paris and Bergen, Frankfurt. I try it. La Juba- La Ljubljana. I apologize if I'm sure I'm butchering it. As well as Lyon, Nantes, and Turin. Those are the short to medium haul flights out of Paris to those locations. And then from Amsterdam on KLM to Belfast, Stavanger, Wroclaw, and Zurich. Now, these promo awards, like I said, are regardless of each direction. And transfer partners that you have for Flying Blue and Air France would be Amex, Bilt, Capital One, Chase, and Citi. Now, I'll make sure to have a link for this promo for you to be able to explore more on these different type of options that you have. But if it fits, it could be a very good deal for an economy flight. And then we have Lufthansa Miles and More for August. It's a similar program, but there are a lot more options that we're going to see this month than maybe even last month. And once again, this is a regular promotion offering discounted redemption for flights on all of the different airlines that are part of that Lufthansa group, which includes Austrian, not Australian, Brussels, Eurowings, Discover, Lot Polish, Lufthansa, and Swiss Airlines. The bookings must be made by August 31st, and they have a tighter spot, as they normally do for Lufthansa, that the travel has to be between November 15th and December 31st of 2024. Now, for business class, which we didn't really see anything, we only had three options last month, but this time we've got Boston going to a number of European cities flying Lufthansa, Chicago flying to 91 different airports with Swiss, and then Newark has a specific one going to Krakow, which is in Poland, flying Lot Polish. Now, these round trip flights are 55,000 miles round trip, not each way. So, once again, if it's something that works, it's a nice deal, but you have to be aware of a few things that we're going to touch on. And then for premium economy, there are 146 offerings out of the United States from Chicago, Detroit, Minneapolis, or Newark. And those are flying Austrian, Lot Polish, and Lufthansa. Now, those for premium economy go from 55,000 in the business to 40,000 miles round trip in premium economy. And then for economy solely, there are 237 deals from the United States. And those options are out of Austin, Texas, Boston, Charlotte, Detroit, Minneapolis, and Newark. Now, you'll fly Austrian, Lot Polish, Lufthansa, or Swiss in those situations. And the round trip for economy is 30,000 miles. Now, just to kind of show you where that 237 may be located, essentially, deals, you've got Charlotte that is flying to 113 different airports across Europe, flying Lufthansa. Detroit has 115 different airports flying Lufthansa as well. Newark has 6 cities in Austria and Poland flying either Austrian or Lot Polish. And then Minneapolis has 139 different airports that they're flying on Lufthansa. Great deals, great prices. Here's where you have to be aware. Number one, there is no credit card transfer partners for Lufthansa. So earning the miles is very difficult. They do have a Barclays Miles and More World Elite MasterCard, and it does come with a 50,000 mile welcome bonus after $3,000 worth of spend in the first 90 days, as well as paying the annual fee. That's almost enough, that 50,000 miles, for a business class round trip. So if you really thought that you are going to be doing a lot of travel to Europe year over year, and that you see enough of these options out of this, it may be worth getting the card to look at as another earning potential for it, but definitely be aware of it. The other issue is obviously the taxes and fees can be quite expensive, especially on business. It is not hard to be paying $1,000 easily for a round trip flight. So if you look at these, make sure that as you are going through this, that you are really making sure that the flight that you have, that you don't just focus on the points that it is. Make sure to look at the taxes and fees and put those together to make sure that the trip really does work for you. But definitely, that is the downside and the short window that you have when it comes to Lufthansa Miles and More program. So definitely make sure to take a look at that. And I see Yuri, my airport doesn't have Spirit. Yeah, mine has it, but limited trips for that. But I might have to look at it at this point. Then I see Filmo, KLM is pretty sweet. Just flew to Amsterdam to Boston business class. Very relaxing, very good service. Always good to have information that from people that are doing it. And then LH has very high, oh yeah, very high fuel surcharges. Exactly. And that's why just looking at the points is not going to be enough for something like this. You definitely got to calculate the whole thing together. And maybe that great deal may still be able to get to be a pretty good deal with the taxes and fees, but there's going to be times where it's not even close. So want to make sure that if anybody has questions or thoughts or concerns that we need to touch on or anything in regards to it or anything that we've talked about tonight, just wanted to make sure to get you all this August 1st information. It's always big new information, especially for these first 2 weeks as they are doing resetting on the different transfer offers. And then, of course, the Lufthansa and the Flying Blue. So wanted to make sure to provide you that. If there are no questions or anything, can't thank you all enough for stopping through. Wanted to get this to you. Uh, Share your comments and thoughts on any of this, and we can keep the conversation going. But I want to thank each and every one of you all for that. And I see Philmo would love to hear a little more about your. Well, I can touch on that. I appreciate you asking. So I had, and hopefully this will be interesting to some. So basically, what it is that I was originally planning to go back to the Dominican Republic for Christmas. I was there last year, staying over at the Hyatt Zilara in Cap Cana in the Dominican. So I was already accumulating points. And I've the bucket list trip that my wife and I always wanted to do was to be able to see the fireworks in Australia because they're one of the first ones and it's beautiful off the bridge. But the problem that I would normally have is that I wanted to stay at the Park Hyatt because they are almost right up underneath that bridge that they show. And I'm a person that has never flown more than 4 hours. I'm not a great person that likes to fly, and that flight from LAX to Australia is 15 hours. And so I had known that there was a very good regular deal to be able to fly first class on the A380, which is something I've always wanted to fly, and that you could fly first class for about 160,000 Qantas points per seat. And so what ended up happening was I was on a trip and I thought I looked at the Park Hyatt Hotel once the window opened, but there were no spaces available. They have very limited availability. And for some reason, I thought, let me just check. I think it was about 3 months ago, and I happened to get on the Park Hyatt website, and I saw that there was actually a ward space which blew me away. Now, the only downside to it, and it's minor, is that the award space that they do at the Park Hyatt when it comes to that Christmas to New Year's is that you don't get any of the scene of the opera house or the harbor. You get the street, which is fine with me. So I was able to see that and I was able to reserve it. And one thing I would point out, and this was lucky, blessing, whatever you might want to call it, is that at that moment, I didn't have all the points necessary for that Park Hyatt stay. But if you are a globalist, and I got lucky to be a globalist through Built last year, which a lot of people got, was you got Discoverist, and once you racked up a few stays, it was like half of what you would normally have to do for globalist, got you globalist for the year and a half. And so I manufactured stays at a Hyatt house and Hyatt place that was near my house. And I used points for that to get to globalist status. But one of the features of globalist is that you can end up reserving a stay regardless of where you want to go. And you can reserve the stay with no points. And so what they'll do is they'll hold that reservation for you, and they will keep that reservation for you through up until like 30 days. I think it's 30 days before your actual stay. And if you don't do it, then you lose the space. So that gave me enough time to rack up enough moving some points around to get the Park Hyatt. So I did get it. So I am staying at the Hyatt Regency in Sydney for about 5 days. And then I'm staying at the Park Hyatt for the New Year's celebration until the 3rd. So I'm in Australia for about 10 days. So I thought that was the easiest, that was the toughest part. And so then it was like, okay, well, let's just find some flights. I'm sure we can find something. I had no idea that the issue is that award flights, and they actually have it in news articles or some sort that I ended up coming across, that the amount of point availability flights is dramatically lower for Qantas during that period. So then my problem was trying to find space of award space because the cost of those flights are off the chart expensive. Nothing I could ever afford myself. And I got lucky and found two first class seats on the A380 out of LAX in Los Angeles to fly there at the normal 162,000 miles. So it's 2 in the morning and I'm rushing around trying to figure out who the heck has Qantas points. So City, Capital One, I was luckily between my wife and I had enough points to bundle up together and get those two seats. So those seats are normally over $12,000 per seat. And I was able to get it at only 162,000 miles per seat. So we'll both fly first class to go to Australia, which once again, lucky slash blessing. Unfortunately, flying back, I couldn't find, there was nothing that I could do with award. And I had spent so many award points, I was drained essentially, but I still got to fly back. So I did pay cash to fly back. And so I'm flying back, couldn't do business class. So I'm flying back premium economy from Australia to Dallas before I get back to my home. And so that's the main thing. When I really talk about diversifying your points, it's something like that. I never thought that I was going to be able to do it. I thought the dollars was going to be too high, the availability would be too tough, and I got lucky. I mean, that's there's a lot of luck that happened for me at that time. But if you weren't necessarily concerned about going during Christmas, New Year's, there was a lot of different availability for a first class flight, a business class flight on points. And that's what's allowing me to spend, I think I'm out somewhere around, I think I'm about a 500,000 points between my flights from my home state to LAX, staying in Los Angeles for a couple of days, flying, excuse me, to Australia, and then flying, then staying at the Park Hyatt in the Regency there. So about for 500,000 points, this trip's about $50,000. Now I would never have done something like that. I couldn't afford it. It wasn't even close. But this is an example of what points and miles could be able to do. So I drained a lot of my points to do this trip. And so that is what the trip's going to be. So hopefully it can be something where for you all, if there's a trip you want to take, just keep your eyes open, look for it, kind of plan towards it. And like I said, I got a bit lucky in regards to be able to do that. So let me see here. You better book LH with Avianca, you guys. Yeah, if you just can't get that Lufthansa deal with using those, but yes, if you're going to do that, definitely worth looking at. And so, yep, hopefully that provided some information. I know you were came in board, Filmo, so hopefully this all of this has helped. Just returned from the DR yesterday. This was 35 days all inclusive trip. Wow, I couldn't even imagine being there that long. I loved it for 7 days. So thank you for sharing that. And then I see Rate Birth. What's up, guys? Hey, thanks for stopping through. Appreciate it. And then Yuri, SQ has a lot of flights to Australia, and there's quite a bit of availability. Okay, well, that's good information too. And then Filmo, nice. Australia is definitely bucket list stuff. It is. Park Eye, it looks awesome. Points diversity is a great thing in this game. Completely agree, Filmo. So I hope that sharing all that, it helped on that. And so I will definitely, when I'm there, we'll do live streams from there and share whatever I can for that. Anytime any of us take a bucket list type of trip, hopefully we all just share with one another so that it kind of helps us to kind of figure out if it's something we want to be able to invest in. So, but can't thank you all enough for coming tonight and really appreciate it and you all support. And if there's anything that you want to see from this channel that you're not seeing or things that you think could be better or such, never hesitate to share your comments and thoughts. I'm always open to doing whatever's I can to provide a better experience for everyone that's here to watch on that. And like I said, I'll make sure to have that credit card clinic with Jose up. And like I said, I learned a lot from it, from especially on the United Excursionist perk. I've heard about it. He utilized it, and I think it would be great information for people because it's a nice niche spot for things. And I thought it was a good interview for us to talk. So I'll have that up in the family vacation up, and I'll have this up with chapters up shortly. So thank you all so much, and you all have a great evening. Look forward to talking to you later.